Hi everyone. I'm sure each one of you is joining now. This is Kameer Singh Jenny here from the Digital Fifth. Welcome on board. I think we have been always talking in our sessions that we need to get deeper into analytics. And today is a date where we actually are working with the industry leaders and trying to bring that thought process on board. And we have here the best of the guys who actually have implemented the solutions, those who know how to go about doing it as well. So there's a strategic view. There is also implementation view, how it actually can be implemented from a tech perspective, and also from those who are actually providing the solution, they are there who said how it can be done, right? So I think this session will be interesting. The way we will structure the whole session on analytics and how it can be used in FinTech, we will split into two components, right? First component is obviously we will have some structured questions for the speakers here, but would love to have your questions coming across, and I'll sort of take those sessions, curate those questions, and bring it back to the speakers here, the leaders here, so that they can present. So that's the whole objective for us in today's session. I think before we start, I think maybe I'll just quickly present a quick deck on what we are going to do today, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so as we said, we are primarily focusing on data analytics for fintechs. I think when I say so, we also have to realize that it's not just for fintechs, it is as relevant for banks as well as relevant for any other industry as well. So I think it's for all from the framework perspective, but yeah, of course, we are taking a shot at it from fintech because we are more deeply embedded into fintech segment. I think quick 30 seconds on us. We are the Digital Fifth. We are primarily focused on fintech consulting. And of course, we do a lot of trainings and a lot of ecosystem play in the market as well. We work on consulting, partnership, training, and hiring, but that's not very critical here. We are not here for that. I think you are here to listen to the industry leaders who are going to guide us on how we actually build analytics platform in our journey. And as just to give you a quick context, I was talking to a big leader in the market, which is maybe I think from a portfolio perspective, the bank has almost say around 70,000 crores plus of portfolio with them, and saying our digital analytics. So their digital journey has just begun. But they're really unhappy that because of the analytics journey not being available with them, they're not able to make much an impact, and they're actually investing very heavily on it. So important that we understand how to go about doing. So his question was primarily, how do I start? Where do I start? How do I go about doing it? I think that we'll try to handle in the session today. I think whenever we think of analytics, I think it comes to our mind that what are the use cases we can have. And I think I remember in my days in the bank, the first thing we bought on the analytics side is that we bought a Tableau license. And that's my story, I think 7, 8 years, 9 years back, when from the banking perspective, we were just trying to build some frameworks on data. And we just went with Tableau first because it's easy to use and more focused on the customer. And therefore, the users can actually build use cases rather fast, rather than tech to get involved too heavily into it. In terms of framework and processes, I think what we realized, and this is again, I'm talking from my knowledge and whatever I saw, we could figure out the technology was easy to deploy. We didn't have to get too much into the framework. And of course, beyond the analytics, they can actually go into next layer as well, AI/ML as well. So I think they're able to build new skills and process. We'll hear more about it as we go forward from Rashmi. I think from a methodology perspective, I think we know that when we went live with them, we didn't have to wait much for the ROI to happen. I think implementations were rather fast. And of course, there are guys from the ecosystem who know it well. I think if you don't have a community, it's very difficult to sort of scale from there. So I think on a general basis, I think we know that how they operate and how scalability they are and what kind of partnerships you have. I think if you were to recommend, and I'm not talking as a consultant right now, I'm just looking at a friend. I do believe that Tableau does add that value, and I've seen it in my customer base happening and in different point of time. In terms of this session itself, where we have these industry speakers here, idea is to ensure that we have full understanding on how data can help in customer acquisition. I think one of the biggest points, so today, for example, I was at the client and we were discussing about acquisition, and I was just saying that your client data is so strong, can you figure out what to do about it? How do you manage internal, external data, the customer base, external stakeholders as well? Culture, how do you build in the company, right? The biggest challenge is that when you build this culture, it's not easy to provoke, right? Because a lot of people have worked without data for a long time. How does it help in segmentation? How does it help in predictive modeling? All of that is what we discuss in this session. And before we start, I think it'll be good to have a quick introduction from our speakers here. I know I would have taken more than a minute or so. I intended to do only 2 minutes, but I think I've crossed that. Apologies for this. So we have here Jinan, Babji, as well as Rashmi, who are actually going to guide us on how to go about building this skill. So a quick introduction from you, Jinan, will be good. And then maybe your views on how businesses can actually focus, because you are a CEO of one of the best fintech in the country. I think the kind of business you do is amazingly good. And everybody has touched and used your platform. Everybody I goes through GST, I remember was talking about how they were able to use your platform. So it'll be good to get your perspective quickly on what's your perspective on analytics and how have you used it in your business model.
Yeah. Samir, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, but I think your network may not be so good. I know you're at the client side.
Yes.
Please remove the video.
I'm at. Yeah, that's where I wanted to request. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So primarily, our company is online PSB loans, and we are focused on the lending infrastructure build. We have been working with the top banks, and the largest names of the industry are also the shareholders of the company. So analytics, insights, and the BI tools are extremely important so far as the business functioning is concerned. You need to understand where the business is going. You need to understand how the banks are performing. You need to understand the analytics that banks require. So while we'll go through those more in detail, in a brief introduction, yes, we have been doing this since last few years, and it's one of the most critical thing. And also, just like Samir used to use Tableau, we have also been using Tableau over last 3 years. And the way the reports are coming out and the analytics is coming out, we are very happy. And we'll showcase few of the few things that we are doing today and where we are moving forward in today's session as we move forward. So that's the primary introduction, and we can move forward.
Excellent. So I think, Babji, from your perspective, I think from a technology perspective, it's a different level of activities to be done. From business perspective, everybody says jaldi kar do, but from a technology perspective, how do you go on doing it? I think you'll be good to get your perspective on analytics and how you pick it up from a technology perspective.
Yeah, thanks. Samir, am I audible?
Yes.
Am I clear? Okay.
Yes.
So thanks everyone and good afternoon. 1 minute about myself. I've been in the software industry for 20+ years, and majority of my experience was in data or is in data. And I've seen the evolution of data right from file systems into RDBMS into massively parallel distributed systems, worked on multiple Fortune 500 companies and carried out programs or projects which are well ahead of the time. Some of my specialties are like building self-servicing data platforms, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data migrations, big data, distributed MPP systems, data visualization, and providing data as a service. These are my specialties. And coming to the question, right, my perspective on analytics. I look at analytics in 2 ways. One is retrospective, that means what happened. So the most important sorry, there was a little bit of a delay. When I talk about retrospective, right, what happened? So when you give this kind of retrospective perspective of the data, you need to have a low latent, high available, and an interactive way where you can communicate with your data, whether through a dashboard or a web page or any other mode. The second aspect, or a little bit advanced analytics, is predictive and prescriptive. This is where your analytics getting morphed into a deep analytics and into artificial intelligence and machine learning. So your machine learning and artificial intelligence predicts the curve, but if you want to take a notch above, that is where you're going to change your parameters so that you can bend the curve according to your advantage. Other thing I want to touch back is the feedback loop. Once you have all this retrospective, deep analytics, predictive and prescriptive analytics, either you can apply back to your online system manually or in an automated fashion. For example, if you run a risk model in an offline fashion, but you want to bring it to your transaction system where you can call, where your transactions are interacting with your risk model in a transactional way and getting that information back. See, the other thing when it comes to analytics is, I mean, with the kind of tools and technologies we have in the industry, there's a lot of, I mean, there's no scarcity of dashboards. Some other times what happens is traversing to the dashboards could be like 40, 50 pages, but how do you get to a particular point of a dashboard? That is where, if there is a capability that you can submit a query specific to your needs in a plain English, and that is going to return back a visualization layer for you, that is what I would call the next level. And we won't stop the analytics at this particular point of time, but how do you monetize analytics? So you can build something like an analytics as a service where you can monetize your analytics, or even to a next level, what you can do is you can create a self-servicing analytics for your customers or your merchants. So bottom line, if I have to put my perspective, it is how you laying your data and how efficiently and optimally you're extracting to the data and to drive your business. That is where I would say the bottom line of this is what we need to achieve with respect to the analytics.
No, I think this is great. This is great. I think we've now got a view from both perspectives, as a CEO of a fintech firm, as well as from a technology leadership perspective as well. Now, it's good to understand from our perspective, Rashmi, you are a sort of providing solution to the market, helping the market in growing as well. I think a lot of people in the market use your platform to grow. And of course, we just heard that how markets is also endorsing you. So it's good to understand your perspective on analytics and how you see market growing and how you're helping the market.
Sure. Thanks, Amir. And first of all, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. Hi, Janand. Hi, Babji. So a very quick introduction about me. I am Rashmi, and I've been in the technology for financial services industry for about 19 years. Analytics is very close to my heart. So whatever role I do, I stay close to data, close to analytics. Now, with respect to the topic, I echo a lot of things that Babji just said. A couple of trends that we are seeing in the market is, number one, we are seeing that accessibility and presentation has become very, very important for users, irrespective of the industry they are in, especially in financial services. So visualization is, while we speak about dashboards as commodity, I think visualization, given the size, the complexity of data, it's still the center of everything else, making it easy, making it accessible to everybody in the organization. The second thing that we are seeing is, like Babji said, people are no longer restricted to using the large amounts of data that they have. Patterns, trends, etc. is fine. Analyzing historical data is fine. But what people want now is, how do I use this data for my daily needs? How can I predict? How can I prescribe actions and guide behaviors so that they are in the right direction? Which is what Babji called as a feedback loop of analytics. We are seeing this happen. I mean, we are seeing the industry asking for it. We are also seeing technology inclining in this direction, where analytics is present in the center and around everything people do.
So I think we've got some perspective on all three sides. So I think let's go deeper into it. I think we are eagerly trying, and we spoke a few days back. I think, Jinan, the kind of use cases you were talking about, the kind of work we are doing, I think that's something very, very crucial for everybody in the market to understand. So maybe if you could, again, Jinan, go deeper into what you have done and sort of guide us on how to go out building it, how as a CEO, you actually can drive changes. And I'm just taking the slides off so that you can actually explain your use cases and thought process. So over to you, Jinan, then guide us, kaise banaya, and how do you engage the market? How do you ensure that team actually transforms in the new direction?
Yes. So normally when you are explaining something, and if there are visuals to support those things and what you have built, that makes the experience of the listeners better. So considering the same, I'll be sharing my screen to showcase how these reports can be built and what all things have been going on since few years now is something that you should be looking into. So I just share a few slides for ease of everyone. Just a second. So as a MD of the company, I actually want to know what is going in the industry, how many proposals are coming, what is the disbursement ratio, what is the rejection ratio, what is state-wise analysis. And if all these things are real-time available on my dashboard anytime I want to see, that's the first homepage I would like to have with me, right? The second thing I want to see, what is the status or what is happening across the country, which states, how are they performing, which zones of the banks, which regions of the banks, and with some insights on the left side saying that, okay, this has reduced or this has increased. So what is the growth rate? What is the conversion ratios? So this kind of analytics also has been built, which is extremely useful today for my team to understand where the performance is going, which banks are performing in which manner. And this is actually useful for management of banks also. Now, say for marketers, you want to see performing or not performing well. This can be across any segment. So who are your customers? What's their performance? So you can actually rank them month-on-month basis. You can see the month-on-month performance, how this growth is there year on year also. All these things are available on the flow, right? So again, just adding few more things is there is a navigation panel which we are showing where you can choose the type of reports that are there. Multiple reports can be created. So these reports are actually what kind of ratios that are happening. Say, for example, I want to see which products are performing, which products are not performing. I want to see what is the Pareto chart, how many products are performing well, how many products are not performing well. So those kind of contributions I can see in such kind of charts, and these are all real-time charts which are there, right? So quickly I'm going through because there's a lot of analytics we are using. I'm just sharing few glimpses of the same. I want to see the aging report, where the proposals are lying, how long those proposals are lying, with which bank, which zone, which branch, right? All those data can be available real time using this kind of dashboards. You want to see how much each bank is taking to disburse, how much time each bank is taking to sanction, whether that TAT is improving or TAT is reducing. Those things are available also digitally for our team to view those things, right? We internally keep a check on ranking, where each bank is ranked, what is their growth, what is their performance overall. So the ranking can be used. Now this is very interesting. You can actually have an entire portfolio analysis. Means say an X bank has a portfolio of say 200,000 MSMEs. Now what is the portfolio combination? So how many proposals are having a great bureau score, how many proposals are having a great debt equity ratio. You can see which are having a bad debt equity ratio. What is the percentage in our portfolio which are really risky, and where are this, which regions these are coming from, right? So all this analysis, everything can be actually seen real-time basis using this kind of charts that we keep on creating. Right? So I'll stop and so quickly, I'd moved you through various charts. It's not a one-day job. It keeps on evolving. So these are the basic charts. Out of these charts, you keep on getting insights, and basis that insights, you actually take a lot of decisions. You share a lot of reports to banks management also, that this is the performance. This is where the bank can improve. This is where the bank has done tremendously well. So if you can give such kind of inputs and insights to your clients. Right. For us, all the banks are our clients and customers. So if we can give such kind of insights to their management, they actually value you more. Right. They will say that this is something that we really liked coming from you, and this is not something they will actually tell you to build. This is something you have to build yourself and give it to your customers, who will start enjoying looking into these charts. And at Tableau, you also can give access to those all bankers directly. They can actually log in, they can actually see the performance on their own also. So those users also can be created on such kind of insights. So this is broadly on how the insights can be built. This is very, very useful tools, and these are very powerful tools, right? This is just the scratching of the insights and analytics. I think Rashmi will take you through what is coming next, right? So those are things which we are still building, and Rashmi possibly can explain you in her session, when she will explain how the future is coming now. Yeah.
So maybe, Janand, I know I'm some double clicking on it. I mean, what kind of business impact do you see, right? Because a lot of times people don't look at business, they look at tool and there's no insights, and then even insights, they don't quantify the impact. Do you think that there's a perceptible business impact out there from a engagement, revenue, all of that, or it's more like dikha diya, acha hai?
No. So what you are saying is the next step, which is very, very critical, is that even if you are showing these charts and insights, that you have to actually quantify them. You have to tell that this is the business that actually you have lost. This is the business that you have gained and which is really good. So that quantification is the thing that matters to the top management, right? So reports is something they will definitely have a glimpse through it, but what is the impact that has happened, and whether they have grown and they have increased their loan book size by say 2,000 crores, or whether they have increased their asset quality from say 60% very good to say 70% very good. So 10% of say 1,000 crores of portfolio which has gone to very good is something are the insights that have to be given on a monthly basis by our team to each bank, and which actually brings them a lot of value for their next decisions that they have to take. Yeah.
Super. So I think I'll come back to you, Janan, with more use cases
Sure.
and how you go about doing it. But let's move to from a technology perspective, right? Babji, maybe you can guide us. How do you go out building a data structure in the company where some of them may not have anything, right? There are no data sources structured properly. Even the KYC issues are there where it's not very well identified. So how do you go about doing this data sanity and the structure, saying that where is the data and how is it structured? And then how do you build insights on it? So from a technology perspective, I think Babji is really looking at your insights, because business is okay, but technology is slightly delayed at times, right? So how do you build it? That'll be good. And of course, Babji, if it is possible, you can put your video on. That'll be good if it is possible.
Sure. I mean, I've just turned off my video. Maybe there's a little bit of lag, but that's okay. Am I audible, Samir?
Whatever possible, if there is an issue, I'll call.
Okay, sure. I mean, Jinath, thanks a lot for the pretty good dashboards you have shown. Samir, I don't have any, slide pertaining to the architecture. I mean, what is powering these analytics, but I can quickly go through the different layers with respect to the analytics. I think the first and foremost is your sources, could be your databases, could be your Excel sheets, could be anything. And the next one, the next important source, the next important component is the ingestion. How do you ingest the data from your source system into your downstreams? Okay, the third important layer, I would say it's a transformation layer. So whatever you get from your sources, right? There might be a lot of use cases where you want to do joins across these different data sources, your aggregations, your transformations, a lot of things has to be done, and you're going to put it into your a persistent layer, could be your data lake, could be your data mart, or could be your data warehouse. And the fourth important component is your visualization layer. So, I mean, when I talk about visualization, Tableau or any of your reporting tools, as well as, people can have their own web dashboarding too. And if I have to look at, analytics has evolved so drastically. Like you can have a static analytics or you can have a dynamic analytics. When I say dynamic, let's say as the transactions are coming through, within a couple of seconds, you can show your analytics in a visualization layer. Depending on your needs, right? You can have multiple technologies. For example, I would like to give like 2 minutes on the dynamic dashboarding because that is very important. That's a future, as well as a lot of companies are going towards that. So from your source systems, you're going to stream the data. Like you need to use some of the streaming technologies, whether it's your TIBCO streams or your Kafka, you stream, and you're going to directly put it into your, stream it directly. You can do it transformations on the fly, on the streams. There are a lot of utilities like Scala, Spark, multiple utilities in the market. Most of them are open sources too. We can use them and directly put it into a fast data layer. When I talk about fast data layers, these are the data layers which data can be ingested at a sub-second latency, as well as you can get the data back in a sub-second latency, as well as you can do your transformations, aggregations on the fly. For example, if I have to talk about a few of the fast data layers, you can talk about like Elasticsearch or your Pinot. There are multiple technologies over there. And most of, and your visualization layer, for example, like Tableau or any of the reporting tools, they can get connected to this fast data layer. So essentially, whatever happening in your transaction system, within like few seconds, you can build the analytics and show it in a visualization layer. This is the next gen analytics, but the traditional analytics, I think like industry is very, well versed with the traditional analytics where you can show the reports with a lag of a couple of hours or a day. Yeah. I'll be more than happy to double click any of the technologies.
Sorry, I'll come back to you on that point, Babji. I think the challenge is that when business talks to it, and then you get into Kafka and all. So I think people said it was pushed over you there. So we'll figure out and come back to that point.
Okay.
More structure and dig deeper. And then
sure.
I'll also want to, maybe at this point of time, maybe I'll ask a linked question. When anybody gets into building this out, what kind of skills you would need in your team from a technology perspective, or before you sort of roll out these deployments? Any quick one, 30 seconds on it, because I think that will be something which is useful for people to figure out.
I mean, basically, one is definitely the reporting. I mean, like they should be having some kind of an experience on any of the reporting tools. That is your visualization layer. The other important skill set, I would say, ETL, which is extraction, transformation, and loading. The other, I mean, if I have to pick three, the other one could be the database, the data layers. I mean, it could be your RDBMS or your central data lake or any of the data warehouses, essentially a database knowledge. So to summarize, a database knowledge and ETL knowledge, as well as a reporting knowledge. These are the three important functions, I would say, but depending on the depth as well as the complexity of the nature of your implementation, it can go into streaming use cases, fast data layers, and multiple things. But I would say three important things. One is the database knowledge. The other one is the ETL knowledge, which is extraction, transformation, and loading. The third one is the reporting knowledge.
No, fantastic. So I think, Rashmi, I think we've heard about both ways from a CEO perspective and technology leaders perspective. Now coming to you, when you have, I mean, amazing experience in this business, right? I think all my life I've kept on thinking that I was not smart enough to get into analytics. That's why I think I avoided that area. So I think with your deep experience, how do you ensure there's a literacy around this, right? Data culture is there. There's a missing piece, right? Look, I mean, they don't think that data exists, right? So we were talking to a client yesterday, and he says, yeah, I don't think I have any data. I said, everybody's clamoring for your data, but you're not looking at your own data. So how do you build that culture? And how will you ensure that technology keeps pace with it and sort of supports that and builds it in a faster way, in not a very complicated way, right? Otherwise users will run away if it is too tough, right?
Yeah, actually you touch upon a very important topic, Samir. This idea of data culture and literacy, because there can be a lot of data, but not a byte to consume and usable. So let me actually start with a few statistics, a few interesting statistics. These are on top of my mind because we did a survey in partnership with Forrester in March 2022. So it's very recent and very new, just around this topic of data culture and literacy. And I'll share three findings, which are quite telling. Number one, what we found out is that 80% of the employees that we surveyed said they will stay on with the organization if they get a chance to be closer to the data, which is very surprising. The second one is on the parallel. We also heard from executives. 82% said that they want and expect their employees to be data literate, whatever that means, but they wanted employees to be able to be comfortable with data. Third, and very ironical, is the fact that less than 40% of these organizations and these employees actually have any formal training on data. So, I mean, this has implications, right? What are we trying to do? We want employees to be able to handle data. We want them to add value to their organization. We want to foster creativity, but we are still not making it easy enough for them to be comfortable with data, which is where technology comes in. I mean, which is where the core of Tableau lies. Our vision and mission basically is we want to make it easy for people. We want people who want data to be able to see and understand data by themselves. It's not a specialized skill, is what we believe. And how do we put it to practice? The way we design our products on a daily basis, they are surrounded by this vision and mission. Every capability that we introduce, every small feature that we introduce, at the back of it is a thought on how do we make it easy for a user who has absolutely no skill sets, no technology inclination, right? Let me give you a couple of examples on how we are doing it. Janad mentioned that I'm going to speak about the future, and let me give you a glimpse of that. So let me give a few examples. One example that I want to talk about is we are talking about data literacy. But until this time, the expectation has been that the employee, the user understands data. Babji just said, right? One of the skill sets that he expects employees to have is data visualization. Now, at Tableau, we thought to ourselves, not everybody is comfortable with data. In fact, a lot of people are intimidated by data, right? Like Samir, you said, I don't know if I could use analytics, despite being in financial services for so long. So we decided to flip the question around. Why can't technology, why can't data speak to the people? Why can't we write stories, write insights in the language that people understand? Right? We don't need special skills for that, which is where our features today, like narrations, are simply narrations in English so that people can understand data and insights. So it's a step beyond visualization. The second example I want to give you is of data science. Now, all of us know, right? Data science is a bastion of a selected few. It's a very specialized skill. It is like a close group of very privileged people who understand numbers, who understand statistics. Now, what we wanted to do at Tableau is do what we did with BI 18 years ago, democratize it. We thought, why should data science be limited to only a few individuals? Why can't it be simple enough for everybody to understand? Which is where, when we speak about the platform today, the predictive modeling capabilities exist for everyone. You have a business problem, you want to calculate a lifetime value of a customer, you want to calculate an expected turnaround time of your, let's say, your loan applications. Do it within the platform without handling the complexity of an algorithm, without understanding the models that go behind it, right? So those are the things that we are doing in terms of helping people get data literate without being, specialists around data, specialists around analytics or data science. What I'm going to do, Samir, Babji, and Janan, and the rest of the audience here, is I'm going to give you a glimpse of whatever I spoke about in a very short demo. We have it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen, if that's okay with you, Samir.
Absolutely. I think seeing is believing, right? I remember that match where I think in 1983, we won a match in that final. So we had, I think, Gordon Greenies or some of them went, I mean, I'm sure you would be very young. I was pretty good then. So yeah, I remember seeing is believing. The guy got out to a ball which he couldn't figure out where it was, right? So I think, over to you, seeing is believing.
So I'm going to share a screen. We recorded a very quick video around these capabilities of Tableau, and let me walk you through it. Work with data where you actually work with Tableau's embedded analytic capabilities. Let users experience and work with data without leaving their workspaces seamlessly. Use Tableau's accelerators, which are pre-built dashboards for industries and use cases, by just plugging in your data and be up and running immediately. An example of these accelerators is this banking dashboard that shows insight into KPIs and dimensions around lending. Tableau can present a lot of complex data visually and simply. For users who are interested in deeper level information, Tableau can guide them down to record level or borrow level information. Use Tableau's geospatial capabilities to render large amounts of data very simply on maps. Use cases may range from collections to delinquencies to recoveries to new business or anything else. Users can drill into the data from the map down to a pin code or to the last level of detail. Close the analytics loop by connecting your operational systems directly into Tableau. For users who do not find answers to their questions from the pre-built or the readily defined dashboards, they can ask questions directly of data by using NLP or natural language processing. Questions may be in the form of words or phrases, which Tableau converts into queries and translates them into visual answers. This is done by utilizing the embedded AI capabilities within Tableau. These questions can be iterative and continuous till the user finds the level of detail and the answers that they are looking for. Tableau provides data connections to a variety of data sources. These can be on-prem or in cloud. Finding answers is a matter of drag and drop on Tableau. Very simple and very easy to use. Tableau makes life easier of users by embedding AI into these answers. For example, to finding relationships that are embedded within the data. Tableau uses explain data capabilities for users to understand the relationships and find out where they should look further. With Tableau, users are not tied down to a particular device. The same dashboards can be rendered onto multiple devices like tablets or iPhones or any other different form factors that they desire. But just to quickly summarize what I was, and in 30 seconds, so that I give it back to you, Samir. There were 2 or 3 things that Jinand and Babji had spoken about. Babji, you spoke about making it easy for users to ask questions in English. The skill set is not important, but the thirst for data is important. So getting data around for people who want to work with data but don't have the skill sets. Second thing is visualizing very complex data, very large data sets, and getting that business impact in a visual manner for anybody at the top of the organization or at the bottom of the organization. That was what we are talking about. Third is embedding AI and ML capabilities within the platform. Why iterate and create more and more dashboards? Why not make it easier for the user? So which is what I was showing, where there was AI embedded and the user is able to figure out where he or she should look next, instead of building more and more analysis, more and more reports. So I'll pause there, Samir.
Thank you, Rashmi. I think we've got all 3 views. Let's quickly move back to Jinan, right? I think FinTech is all about building new design products, maybe building new journeys, and creating new business models, right? I think it's all about that. And every time some of the old bankers will say, yes, mein kya hai? So I bola journey hai, banana padega. It has to be built at the right price point, right structuring, right engagement. Otherwise, people, I mean, when you walked up to somebody who can actually talk face to face, you can manipulate and tell, but the guy is online, he's not there, he's there, he's not there. You have to figure out what to do with next to him and remove friction. So how does this analytics layer help you in sort of engaging, building new products, new journeys? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, analytics is always very critical. I'll switch off the video, I think. Better bandwidth. Yeah. See, analytics is always very critical for every business decision, right? If the data is there and if you are not able to bring out analytics and insights out of that, then in business decisions, you will always be delayed or you will always be figuring out what to do. So such real-time tools which are helping today to understand where the customers are getting stuck, what is the overall month-on-month ratio that we are seeing where the customers are improving their journeys, is something that helps us in making the journey better and better. So today, say we always call there is a friction in the journey. So we have to remove the friction in the journey. So whether you can remove the friction 100%, you can remove the friction 70% is a iterative process. So that is where analytics helps you whenever you are designing the journey also, that what is happening at each stage of the journey, where the friction is coming. So at the end of the day, everyone tells user experience is key, right? So analytics helps you in building that user experience and in removing the friction, right? And going forward, all the lending, so we are in the lending infrastructure. All the lending infrastructure is going to talk about is this part only, right? Lending infrastructure will always be talking about how fast the application can be completed and how fast the decision of credit can be taken, and how fast the users can complete their journey and be happy with the process flow. So while payments, we have experienced that. Lending is something where we are going to experience that going forward. So analytics helps it at every stage of user journey in reducing the friction if you are not able to 100% remove the friction.
Okay. And maybe you want to call out a specific use case where you felt that the process or journey or some of these could actually be done at a different level because of data insights.
Yeah, so see, when our platform was actually launched back in say 2018, it had few features inbuilt in the platform where we were able to. I'll give an example where we were able to do an ITR auto fetch. So you can put your PAN and put the passwords, and we can actually fetch the ITR. However, considering there were certain concerns regarding taking a passport of the person. right? So we had to build a journey where we can actually bypass taking the password and have a different way of taking the income tax return in the journey. Now, we all had an apprehension that this will actually create a lot of friction in the journey that is being built. But to our surprise, we were actually seeing that friction which we had anticipated was not in practice happening. So at times you might believe that this will create friction, but unless there are tools to tell you whether that friction is actually there or whether users are more comfortable the other way, is something analytics can give you on real-time basis. So though our mind or our thought process may be X, but actual things may come out to be Y. So that is where analytics can help you to figure out what you did is working or not working. So this is one use case. There were 3 such use cases when we had launched the platform. And in all 3 cases, this analytics helped us to understand whether the friction got reduced or it increased in the journey. Yeah.
Okay. This is I think always good to have actual use cases, right? I think otherwise it's like movie will work, but we don't know which movie, right? So you've got the right movie in which is right structure, which is good. So let's move to and maybe a request to all of you. You can ask your questions. We still have some time, and I'll try to take those questions back to our experts here. And also my request is we have shared a feedback form. My request is all those who will give us a feedback form, we will also share you the link of the videos as well, which we could not present today, and also some more content on analytics that will help you in also building your own structure and all of that, right? So we'll do that. So please give your feedback. That will help us in engaging with you and reaching out to you if there is any need from your side. Now coming back to Babji from your side, I think we heard always about mobile first company, API first company, but if we are there's also talk about, let's say, maybe analytics first company or AIML first company. Maybe I don't know what to call out. It all looks same. How do you build that structure? How do you build the insights? So for example, if you start a company now or build a business now from a tech perspective, how do you ensure that the railroads are well built and sort of structure is all correct so that we can keep scaling? Otherwise that on day one we are wrong and we are forever wrong. So how do you build a analytics first kind of architecture? Babji, you are on mute.
Sorry about that. So, I mean, the first and foremost, right, for whether it's an analytics or a deep analytics, or if you want to build any AI, ML on top of your data, the first and foremost, very important thing is make sure your data is very clean. So that is very, very important. I mean, unless your data is not properly reconciled, you need to have a lot of reconciliation because the data moves across from different systems. So if there is a loss of data or there is a duplicacy of data, or there's a, I mean, in terms of transformation of data, if there is the message is lost. So whatever you built on top of it, you'll give a wrong information outside. So the first and foremost, you need to have a strong recon models which are baked inside your data movement. That is one thing. The other one is the metrics. I mean, whatever the metrics, right? You need to define the metrics, a governance around the metric. For example, a net new active should be defined across an enterprise in the same fashion. I mean, for example, if it's making two transactions in a month, that's an active customer, versus like making 1 transaction in a month is an active customer. So the definition should be pretty much robust. Otherwise, whatever you're going to show outside, it may not be the reality. So coming back, I just want to call out these 2 points because it's very important. Your data your data should be accurate. There should not be any missing of data. There should not be any duplicacy of data, and your metric definitions should be standardized across your organization as well as in the market. So coming back to your question, right, Samir. So, I mean, like, you should always follow your best practices, right? I mean, like, your foundation should be strong enough so that you can build multiple layers on top of it. For example, like, unless you have a strong the ETL pipeline as well as your strong data structures from where your visualization is going to happen. So you need to have that foundation pretty strong. On top of it, you can have multiple layers on top of it, as well as your you can build APIs, you can build visualization layers, so that, I mean, once you have an API layer, you can connect to your mobile or your web, as well as Rashmi called out, right? There's a lot of algorithms, I mean, AI, ML, either through Tableau or any of the visualization tools, or you can build on top of your data and you can plug into your visualization tools.
Good. This is good. In fact, one more question we got, and maybe it's linked. What is the scope of data quality, and what are the key tools which we can use to sort of improve the data sets? And generically, the question is also, what is the future of data quality? I think it's a strange question, but yeah, it should be good, right? But yeah, let's see your perspective on it.
See, again, I just want to call that out. I iterate multiple times. Data quality is the most important thing. Otherwise, whatever you publish outside, right, it's going to be completely, I mean, it may not be the right way you're publishing. And with respect to data quality tools, right, I mean, I think there might be some industry tools outside, but most of the data quality needs are very specific to your, I mean, to your organization. So, I mean, like, you can build your utilities around the data quality, but even if you buy something outside from the market, so you need to customize according to your needs. For example, like, I mean, I'll give a very simple example, right? Let's say 2,000 records are coming from your source into your data lake or your data warehouse. You have to make sure the count is always consistent at a particular point of time from your source versus your target. And these can be built with any of the open sources in the market.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I think let's move back to Rashmi, and maybe I have a question here. I don't know if anybody should take it. It's a question which is interesting, which is saying, any thoughts on sort of NTC kind of NTC, new to credit customers insights? How do you get it when the customer does not have a credit history at all? How do you analyze the customer? What kind of insights can come from microfinance? So you just want to take, it will be good. Otherwise, we'll skip it, and maybe I'll attempt it at the end because I've seen that use case as well. But primarily, this kind of data in here, uska insight kaise nikalenge? That's what the question on microfinance side, where you don't have a formal structure. Anybody wants to take it?
So, Samir, one thing is, I mean, you're talking about if there is no transactional data, but if there is some kind of a social media data, for example, probably we can assess some kind of risk factors based on the social media data, but again, a transactional data is a true data for risk assessment. I mean, for example, I'll give an example of, let's say, a merchant, right? He may not be, I mean, the credit scoring is not there, but probably they might be using some of your utilities. We can scrape the merchant's transactional data and get some insights out of it. But if you don't have any transactional data, I think the other alternative is only the social media data, Samir. I mean, that I can think of. Probably Jinad or Rashmi can pitch in.
No, pretty much. I think you practitioners, Jinad and Babji, but I was also thinking of these alternate sources of data. India is a large market of unbanked informal sector, and I think there is a thriving industry out there whose sole business model is using these alternate sources of data and giving out credit worthiness to lenders, to aggregators and platforms, and I think Jinan may be using some of them. But then again, these alternate sources of data range from social media to transactions to how, where do they probably do their, do their retail transactions from, where were they educated, etc. and stuff like that. That's what I would think, but probably I'll let Jinad add more to it.
So this is one of those questions, where if you are playing cricket and someone gives you a bouncer, you better duck it. Okay. So the answer from the credit point of view is if there's no transaction data, right? What are the other sources of data that are available? And when it comes to MFIs, right? And when it comes to MFIs, the data availability is still lesser. So building an analytics and insights model on where the data is, we are working very closely one of the developmental institution for creating a credit disbursement of an end-to-end process flow, which is already we have disbursed to 25,000 customers. But still this question is not 100% answered, right? You can have partners who can collect few data and give those data to you, But if you want a foolproof, like a organized sector and give a credit like that, then possibly you are still missing in that. So it's more of a partner institution data collection. That's how it's happening, and then on top of that data there is some insights that is used.
And maybe I'll take a shot at it a bit. So you need to work closely with the. So everybody has a footprint. The inclusion guys will also have footprint in the maybe grain segment, or they will have footprint to milk business, or they will be somewhere in dairy. So I think there are footprints available. We work with few guys in the segment to build a framework around that. So I'm not saying that we are looking at only 1 or 2 data points, but let's say if somebody is getting revenues, even in cash, but through dairy system, they will have a data footprint saying that, okay, how much milk did they pour, how much, what is the quality and what frequency, and you can build a score on that. And we actually built a lending framework to that. So it's possible, I think, but just need to look at what value chain we can look at it. And necessarily it should not be the banking data, because banking is actually the alternate data. The real income data is actually coming through the milk business, which is what the value chain you need to get into. And anyway, a lot of people are building that inclusion piece focused on each segment. So now we have some just 6-7 minutes left. I know we are getting feedback at some pace. So my request to each one of you out there, if there is any pointers, any questions, you have pointed questions on these, any of these activity, you can ask now, or you can also in the feedback raise your questions. We will reach out to you and sort of share our inputs on those points. And also, I think video we could not share, we will do that as well. So I think please give your feedback as well. Now coming to maybe we are in the last few minutes, and from a framework perspective, I think one of the questions which I was looking at it is that yahan se kahan, right? So maybe from a deployment perspective, let's say if somebody uses Rashmi your platform, pehla to ye hota hai ki analytics sunke people think that ye mehenga hoga, right? It will be very expensive, and how did what skill set and how much time? So maybe quick few minutes on just how does it go about doing it, right? How quickly can we see value coming in, and yeah.
Sure, Zamir. And I'm glad you asked this question, because this is one of the things that I like to point out when I'm speaking of analytics to, industries across the board, especially in FinTech, where there are a few things that are important in FinTech. One is affordability, second is time to market, and third is ability to handle data of all kinds. Pabji spoke about fast data, Janan spoke about, creating visualizations very quickly that can be monetized. On all these 3 counts is where Tableau stands out. So number one, the thing that's unique about Tableau is the fact that you can start small and scale fast. You can start with, very, very small user base, even a single user on Tableau, and scale according to how your business, is expanding. So we work with you, and we work with you as you expand your scale and as you grow. Second part is how we work with data. So we do understand that the industry, especially FinTech, works with a variety of data, and this is large, complex data sets. This comes in at various frequencies, and Tableau provides that capability of handling all of this data, irrespective of where that data resides. So we are really platform and data agnostic. You put us on-prem, you put us on cloud, you put us on an Oracle database, you put on a MySQL, you put us wherever, we'll work. So we do not come with a baggage of a platform or of a certain infrastructure that we want. That's second. The third and the most important thing is the skill set. We spoke about data culture, literacy, specialized skills. And as a company, we believe that you have to grow out of it. You have to make it easy for people to work with data, which is where, the one part is the product capabilities. We spoke about narrative stories that we want to bring. We spoke about data science that we want to democratize. Other than that, one of the things that stand out for FinTechs and for community in general is a large Tableau community that we have in place. Now, for somebody who wants to start implementation with Tableau, it's as easy as downloading Tableau from our website and starting to use, connecting to data and start using it. You can get a free trial version if any of you in the audience would want to do that. And you have questions, you go to Google, you go to YouTube, you go to Tableau community, type that question, and I can assure you 99.9% of the times you will find an answer, right? That's the power of community. That's the power of ecosystem. So, I could go on and on, but I feel these are the 3 topmost reasons on how we work with industry, how we work in step with what people want to do with data and analytics.
Super. Okay, excellent. So as I said, we will share anybody who's giving the feedback. We'll share you the link to the document, and also we'll share a sort of various analytics use cases which can be deployed. So we'll share with a sort of a detailed document around that so that you can go through that. So I think please provide your feedback. That will help us in connecting with you. We don't want to spam you, right? Otherwise, I'll reach out to you. It doesn't work like that. So we'll take your feedback. Maybe we are towards the closure of it, maybe one question which comes to our mind is that going forward where, right? So what are the 2 focus areas, maybe Janan, where you want to focus on the analytics side? A quick, maybe a 1 minute on that will be good, saying where do you want to go from there? What are the key use cases you intend to focus on?
So the biggest focus area for us is bringing the analytics for the banks, right? So our major clients are the banks. So bringing the best of the analytics where they can actually monitor what is happening in the lending industry and what is happening with their bank is what we are focusing on. And the most important thing, as I told you, for us to understand using analytics is the user experience. So those are the 2 key things that we are focusing on. We have created the analytics to one level, and we are now looking on to taking it to next level. So that is where we are working on.
No, I think accepting that you are in the layer 1 itself is not easy, right? A lot of people say, "Arey, sab kuch ho gaya." I met a guy 5 years back saying, "Analytics mein kya chal raha hai?" Everything is done, Sameer. All live and use cases are there. And it's 5 years hence, then we have not seen anything from the market, right? So, a lot of PSUs also established their analytics platform years back, right? I think many of them spent hundreds of crores, but not much has come out. I think the kind of focus you are bringing, I think is useful, and maybe a lot of banks will actually learn from what you are building out there. Thank you. Babji, from your perspective, what would be your focus area in next couple of years?
Yeah, a couple of things, Samir. One is, analytics, we should not get intimidated by that. And analytics is not nice to have, but it's a must have going forward. So, that is going to drive your business, and a lot of these companies are becoming more like a data-driven companies rather than, essentially, I want to sum it up as stating that it's a must-have, and people should go away from the mindset of nice to have.
This is good. This is very simple, very, very simple. And Rashmi, from your perspective, what will be the focus area which maybe FinTech should look at in the next couple of years?
I'll echo what Janan and Babji said. Number 1, making data speak the language of people. Storytelling. It's all about finding insights, finding stories that can trigger the next action for an end user. So creating analytics, delivering analytics in such a way that it's accessible to everybody and everybody understands it. The key word here is everybody understands it and is not afraid of data. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is embedding it in the workplace. Removing that friction. We spoke about friction a little bit ago, but the idea is progressively as we develop technologies, how do you erase that complexity of multiple technology to the end user? The end user ideally should not know that he's working in a particular application. It's seamless experience for him. So that's where you talk about embedding analytics. Let's say something like a Tableau, being invisible and formless, but being available where people work. Doesn't matter who he is. An HR user, a banking customer like Jinad has, a merchant like Babji has, or any customer or any internal or external stakeholder. So, making it formless, but making it available everywhere and anywhere.
Perfect. I think as we close the session, I think I personally learned a lot, Jinad, Babji, and Rashmi from your side. I think given that my whole knowledge on analytics is very close to zero, I think this is one of the primer for me. So thank you for those insights, and thank you everyone who has joined us. Please share your feedback. We will reach out to you, and that will help us in engaging with you if there's any need on analytics from your side. Anybody who's looking at, many of you have reached out to me. You need a link. I think you share a feedback. Otherwise, it looks like we'll spam you. So please share your feedback. The link is already there, and we'll reach out to you and share this link. And of course, we share a sort of bit of an artifact also on analytics side. So with this, we close. Thank you, Janan. Thank you, Rashmi. And thank you, Babji, for your insights and the super session. I learned. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Samir.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.